Hank Menke and his family, Ken Nunn, Steve and Kathy Henke, and Joe and Shelley Schwartz. So please join me in celebrating the wonderful generosity of all of these friends of Indiana University. I'm delighted to see that we are joined today by so many colleagues and friends of the university. And it's always a pleasure in gatherings such as this one to recognise those individuals who contribute so much to this campus and to the university community. I'd like first to introduce the members of the IU Board of Trustees who have joined us today. And I ask them to stand as I call their names, and would you please hold your applause until they are all standing. With us today are James D. Morris of Indianapolis, Chair of the Trustees, Mary Ellen Peck Bishop of Carmel, Vice Chair of the Trustees, W. Quinn Buckner of Bloomington, Philip N. Eskew Jr. of North Webster, Michael J. Miro of Fort Wayne, Andrew F. Moore of Indianapolis, Patrick A. Shoulders of Evansville, Melody S. Walker of Bloomington, and Anna M. Williams of Indianapolis, our student trustee. Please join me in welcoming her. And I'd also like to welcome a colleague who plays a central role in the development and construction of all new and renovated IU facilities, Indiana University Vice President for Capital Planning and Facilities, Thomas A. Morrison. Please join me in greeting him. And I'd also like to recognise Tim Jeffers, who is representing the architectural firm of record on this magnificent project, CSO Architects. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Jeffers as well. Rod Sherwood, who designed both the Sydney Olympic Stadium and London's Olympic Stadium, making him the only architect in the modern era to have in fact designed two Olympic stadia, writes that stadia and sports arena are cities for a day that host the population of a city for a few hours and punctuate our lives with enjoyment and sometimes disappointment. The ideal arena, he writes, is clearly the one in which our team always wins. But Assured goes on to write, what people really want in sports arenas are comfort and safety. We want, he writes, buildings that allow us to be comfortable in our enjoyment of the event, buildings in which it is safe for us to become part of the crowd, to feel comradeship, togetherness, and to feel that we are part of something big. Today we recall the many momentous occasions that live on in the collective memory of the millions of Hoosiers and others who have experienced that sense of togetherness here in Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. Today we celebrate the major improvements that have been made to one of college basketball's most iconic venues, what has been called by some people the Carnegie Hall of basketball, so that future generations of Hoosier fans can continue to enjoy similarly unforgettable experiences and feel the sense that they are part of something big. The rich history of IU basketball includes, of course, the history of the facilities that have been its home. IU's first Assembly Hall was built in 1896, and it was a wooden building that, by modern standards, more closely represented a large house than a basketball arena. It was located on the east side of Owen Hall and had a capacity of only 600 people. And it was the site of IU's first official home basketball game in 1901. In 1917, men's basketball moved to the men's gymnasium, now part of the facilities at the School of Public Health. When fans complained that the wooden backboards obstructed their view, a local entrepreneurial mirror and glass company created backboards of 1.5 inch thick plate glass, and the men's gymnasium became the Perth Intramural Centre opened in 1928. It was the state's first true basketball stadium and served as one of collegiate basketball's classic venues for more than 30 years. In 1960, men's basketball moved to the new fieldhouse, now known as the Harry Gladstein Fieldhouse. It was the site of two historic performances by Jimmy Rowell, who scored 56 points twice in games against Big Ten rivals Minnesota and Michigan State. And in 1971, the new Assembly Hall, named in honour of IU's first basketball arena and multi-purpose building of the same name, became home not only to the men's basketball team, but also to the women's basketball team, which became a varsity sport in the same year. Over the years, Assembly Hall has hosted concerts by such luminary artists as Elvis Presley, the Rolling Stones, and by the newest Nobel laureate of literature, Bob Dylan. Visits by dignitaries including the Dalai Lama, and of course, hundreds of thrilling IU men's and women's basketball games witnessed by millions of fans. Assembly Hall has been home to 3 national men's basketball championship teams and 14 conference championship teams, including 2 in the last 4 seasons. It is a beloved building where countless people have had unforgettable experiences, including their first game, special family memories, and moments of excitement, heartbreak, and joy. And over the years, it has achieved the stature as one of the most revered and iconic basketball arenas in the United States. But when we began these renovations, Assembly Hall was nearly 44 years old and sorely in need of major renovation so that it could continue to serve future generations of student athletes and fans and maintain its legendary status. There is a long list of people to whom we owe enormous debts of gratitude for helping us reach this moment, and in thanking them we must of course begin with the family whose name this arena now bears, the Simon Skjodt family. As I had the great pleasure of announcing in December of 2013, IU alumna Cindy Simon Skjodt and her philanthropic organisation, the Samaria Foundation, made an extraordinarily generous gift of $40 million, the largest gift in the history of IU athletics, to be used for the much-needed extensive renovations of Assembly Hall. Cindy and her family have been remarkably generous supporters of Indiana University over many, many years. The Simon family name will forever be interwoven with the great achievements of Indiana University. Their vision and support for the Elaine G. Simon Halal Center, IU's world-class Jacobs School of Music, the award-winning Simon Hall, and the nationally recognized Melvin and Brent Simon Cancer Center in Indianapolis have had a tremendous and transformative effect on this university. In 2013, Cindy generously donated $2 million to endow a chair in the Heron School of Art and Design's Art Therapy program. The same year, she made a generous gift of $1.5 million to endow the Melvin Simon Chair of Philanthropy in the IU Lilly Family School of Philanthropy in honor of her late father, Melvin Simon. Cindy also serves on the IU Foundation Board of Directors and the Women's Philanthropy Leadership Council. She served as co-chair of the highly successful Matching the Promise campaign and now co-chairs IU Athletics portion of the current university-wide For All Bicentennial campaign. I know that this gift and this renovation have a deep personal meaning for Cindy, because she has so many fond memories of attending basketball games here with her late father, Mel Simon. I in fact was privileged enough to have heard a conversation between Cindy and Mel not long before his death, in which they reminisced about these times. So I would once again like to extend, on behalf of Indiana University, our truly most sincere thanks to Cindy Simon Skjodt, to her husband Paul, the owner of the Indiana Ice, who's also here with us today, and to their entire family. Please join me in thanking them. generosity will touch the lives of countless student athletes, coaches, alumni, and friends of IU, and it will help IU's men's and women's basketball programs to continue to thrive and excel for many more decades to come. I also want to thank another visionary alumnus, Mark Cuban, whose generous gift of $5 million in 2015 established the Mark Cuban Center for Sports, Media and Technology, which is housed here in Skjodt Assembly Hall. Mark's generosity and vision have allowed IU to create a one-of-its-kind, cutting-edge, student-focused video broadcasting and technology center that makes IU athletics, in fact, the national leader in 3D broadcast and replay, virtual reality, and 3D virtual studio technologies. So on behalf of Indiana University, I also want to express our deepest gratitude to Mark Cuban for his generosity and his vision in supporting the establishment of this centre as well. Please join me in thanking Mark. The vision and leadership of Cindy Skjodt and also Mark Cuban have inspired many others to join the efforts to preserve and improve this truly great college basketball venue. On behalf of the university, I want to extend our most grateful thanks as well to all of the alumni and friends who have helped to make this superb renovation possible. I also want to commend Athletics Director Fred Glass and his staff, including Big Ten Coaches of the Year Tom Crean and Darren Ryan, and their current and former players, so many of whom are here today, for all that they have done to help to make this project such a stunning success. And again, I also want to commend Tom Morrison, as well as the many other design and construction professionals, both internal and external, who oversaw this very complex and visionary renovation. And finally, I'd like to thank our trustees for their steadfast and enthusiastic support, not only for this renovation, but also for their support over recent years for the renovation, renewal and repurposing of IU's extensive existing facilities right across the state on all campuses, and more generally for the continued and ongoing efforts to guard and care for the welfare of our institution. Dr. James Naismith, the inventor of basketball, said in a speech in Indianapolis in 1936 that basketball really had its beginning in Indiana, which remains today the center of the sport. 80 years later, most Hoosiers would agree that Indiana is still the center of basketball. The renovation we celebrate today will ensure that future generations of Hoosiers will be safe and comfortable as they gather in the city for a day to enjoy unforgettable experiences, and so many others have done over many remarkable decades. Now I'd like to introduce and welcome to the podium G. Frederick Glass, Indiana University Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics. Please join me in welcoming him.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of everyone affiliated with Indiana University Athletics, let me be among the very first to welcome you to Skjodt Assembly Hall. While every day is a great day to be a Hoosier, that is particularly true on this day, and I thank you for being here to be part of this exciting celebration. From the start, the goal of this renovation was to preserve the best home court advantage in college basketball. And as we stand here today, I trust you'll agree that we've not only preserved it, we have dramatically enhanced it. Thanks to the tremendous efforts of so many, the renovation has maintained the unique and special character of this iconic building, while adding to it new amenities and modern technology to substantially improve the fan and player experience. As President McRobbie noted, when the renovation began, this building was nearly 44 years old. It was figuratively and actually literally falling apart. but that Vice President Morrison insisted we do, and that actually are essential to extending the life of this treasure for generations to come. Other more visible improvements were also planned and completed, too numerous and extensive to set forth in detail right now, but here are just a few of the highlights. The beautiful Ken Nunn Champions Plaza, this spectacular South Atrium and lobby, new and remodeled restrooms, improved and expanded concession stands, escalators in the north and south lobbies, a giant new state-of-the-art scoreboard, all new bleacher seats, not bleacher seats, new acrylic guardrails, this beautiful terrazzo floor, new signage reminiscent of the old graphics and memorabilia throughout, improved accessibility, special hospitality seating in the Hinky Spirit of 76 Club, a renovated and modernized press room and new permanent media seating, and last but not least, as the President referenced, the Mark Cuban Center for Sports Media and Technology. Just like basketball, a major renovation like this is a team sport. While time doesn't permit me to thank by name all of those who contributed to this project, there are several people who I would be remiss in not recognizing. First, Cindy Simon Skjodt. Cindy, thank you and your family, Paul, Eric, Samantha, and Ian, not only for your generous financial gift, but for all of your personal counsel and support to me and us during this campaign. Your early transformative gift paved the way for the generosity of others. You inspired people. For example, our women's basketball players see you as a great role model and are proud to play in a building bearing the name of a strong and extraordinary woman. Especially as someone who had the honor of knowing your father, and as the father of a daughter, I know he is proud of you today. I encourage all of you to experience the story actually set forth in your programs and the image of Cindy and her father that is here in the South Lobby just to the left of the window on the court. It gives me chills every time I do. I'd also like to thank the other major donors, and my thanks to those of the President for this project and our capital campaign. Mark Cuban, Ken Nunn, Hank Menke and the Menke family, Steve and Kathy Henke, and Joe and Shelley Schwartz. Thanks also to our campaign co-chairs, Cindy Simon Skjodt, Quinn Buckner, Larry Rink, Ned Fow, Steve Henke, Wayne Radford, Jeff Cohen, Kem Hawkins, and Tom Rush. I can't say enough about the tremendous contributions of Vice President for Capital Planning Facilities, Tom Morrison, and his amazing staff, including John Lewis, Bob Richardson, Mia Williams, Michelle Buckland, Tom Williams, and PK Patel. I'd also like to recognize the incredible work by our in-house IU craftsmen who took such pride in being involved in this building, especially the carpenters, the plumbers, the electricians, the painters, and the sheet metal workers. You all are the best. Thanks also to our private sector partners, especially the Smith Group, CSO Architects, Shield Sexton, and Sport Graphics. I'd also like to thank the staff of IU Athletics, especially including Scott Dolson, Eric Newberger, Chuck Crabb, Becky Panny, Kelly Bamba, Jeremy Gray, Bob Gilmore, Jimmy Jarvis, and Nate Hill. Again, a special thanks to our amazing in-house IT staff who program all of the interactive displays, which are really amazing and will be sort of the gift that keeps on giving as I think Hoosier fans enjoy the information that it provides. Dan Fitzsimmons, Cindy Grubb, Andrew Rosner, Brandon Spahn, and Brian Hulley. As a point of personal privilege, I'd also like to thank Tom Crean, who was involved every step of the way in our conversations with Cindy, including the ask itself. Without Tom's dogged and visionary leadership in bringing IU men's basketball back from the mess he inherited, and the confidence that has engendered in Cindy and others, I sincerely doubt that we would be here today. In that same vein, I'd like to thank Gail and Carl Cook, the late Bill Cook, and the extended Cook Group family. Without their gift making the state-of-the-art Cook Hall a reality, I'm not sure we would have had the flexibility to preserve this iconic venue. Finally, let me give my special and profound thanks to the vision, leadership, and support of President McRobbie and the Board of Trustees, without whom this amazing renovation would simply not have happened. Thank you for your time and attention, and go IU. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's my honor to introduce really the woman of the hour, Cindy Simon Skjodt.
When we began this odyssey in 2013, I never dreamed this day would be quite as thrilling. There are so many things I want to say, but I might get a little emotional, so please bear with me. My love for this great institution has never been a secret. Literally every time I'm on the campus, I have an overwhelming sense of pride. My mind and heart are flooded with awesome memories, such as cherished memories with my father watching some of the best Big Ten college basketball and football too. That's back in '67, you know, we went to the Rose Bowl. We're get there again. And there's the bounds of friendships that have lasted through the years, Melinda. Along with the eternal flame this university light inside me to never stop learning of inspiring others. First and foremost, this afternoon I recognize some key associates that have played a huge role in this renovation project. President Robbie, I want to thank you, and I respect and admire you more than you know. Thank you, the Board of Trustees. I'd also like to mention the campaign co-chairs for their leadership and unwavering loyalty to this iconic masterpiece. And to Mr. Fred Glass and his entire athletic department, and in particular Scott and Kelly, who held my hand through this process. Thank you. And I'm excited for you and with you as we begin this wonderful, new, exciting era of this hallowed arena. This renovation was a group effort. It's often said that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, this beloved Hoosier monument was literally raised by a large team of builders, tradesmen, architects, engineers, contractors, and school staff. I'd like to thank the thinkers who envisioned every detail and the doers who brought this to reality. And of course, I was not alone in this endeavor. I want to thank to all the donors who contributed great amounts of money. Thank you. And for more, we want more, always want more, so help IU Athletics. With me today, I was surrounded by my friends and colleagues, but most importantly by my family. To my husband, Paul, of almost 29 years, thank you for supporting my dreams and embracing this philanthropy path that we have embarked upon for so many years. To Eric, Samantha, and Ian, you have no idea what it means to me to have you here and that you chose to graduate and attend IU. I'm so proud of you and I love you, and here's your legacy now. Good. Not long ago, I tried to compute the number of family members between the Scott and Simon family done graduate school. I think there's like 24 members of our family. 24 Simons and Skjodts. That's how much this university means to all of us, but most importantly to me. Indulge me a minute while I boast. I would like all of my IU family members to stand, my family who attended or gone to IU. Please stand, and also friends that I've invited today, who all who attended IU and graduated, please stand too. I'm afraid to say that we're about done with this generation. We have Ellie's the last one who will graduate from IU, but our grandchildren hopefully one day, so we'll have no choice. I've been fortunate enough to travel a lot of the globe, and it seems to me that no matter where I go, someone is familiar with Indiana University. The experience and education at this institution are unparalleled, not just for the student value incredible collegiate sports programs, but also for the business leaders, along with entrepreneurs, doctors, and lawyers, and athletes that call this place home, just like I do. It would be rude of me to leave out a few of my special people who really helped me through this process and held my hand through it, and always kept us updated, and that would be Scott Paulson, Kelly Bamba, and Mr. Morrison. These people showed us the way. I look forward to sitting in this iconic basketball hall for generations to come and sharing good times, winning seasons, and more memories, and for my children and my grandchildren too. If we have any current players from the men's or women's basketball team in attendance, I can only say to you, go girls, girl power. Go Hoosiers, go guys. Let's set new records, let's be the best athletes we can be, and let's make the opponents sweat. Remarks that my father was a great man and showed me the way through a lot of stuff, and especially when it came to sports. So Dad, thank you. But I just want to say one more thing from the bottom of my heart. Like I said, I'm honored, Paul's honored, my family's honored to be here today, but if you love this university, you have to give back. Thank you.
Cindy, for those wonderful and clearly most heartfelt remarks as well. Our next speaker today has a long and distinguished history with Indiana University athletics. Quinn Buckner is renowned for his athletic career, which included an NCAA championship as a member of IU's last undefeated men's basketball team. In addition, Mr. Buckner was captain of the 1976 gold medal winning US men's Olympic basketball team. He played 10 years in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, where he won an NCAA championship in 1984, and the Indiana Pacers, and he served as head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. He's been a trustee of Indiana University since earlier this year, and Mr. Buckner is also Vice President of Communications for Pacers Sports and Entertainment. So please welcome to the podium, Quinn Buckner.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, you got to enjoy this. Now, I think everybody up here knows how I do whatever they call these speeches or whatever. This is a fantastic facility. It was terrific in the days that of old, if you will, where there was a lot of success had here, and Tom is bringing that back, and I'm also pleased for that. But Cindy, Paul, guys, of the IU family and part of Indiana athletics. There have been some people that have been very dear to what we've been about here in the athletic program, and I stand before you humbled and speaking this way. Thank you so much for your support, but we need you to continue it. Coach Green, I'm gonna put it on you, you know that, right? All right. But more importantly, I'm gonna put it on you, young ladies and young men. You guys are the ones that gotta make it happen. But for those of you who have donated and helped this to be such a beautiful facility, for all of us who have been here and played and cheered in the past, thank you so very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Quinn. Our next few speakers will discuss the many benefits that the renovated Skjodt Assembly Hall will bring to our men's and to our women's basketball programs. First, we will hear from Terry Moran, the head women's basketball coach, and then she will be followed by Tom Crean, head coach of men's basketball. Each will speak without further introduction. Please welcome Coach Moran to the podium.
Well, good afternoon. It's an absolute honor to be here representing Indiana University and our women's basketball program on this very historic occasion. An occasion that will have an immediate impact not only on our current athletes, but our future athletes and the greatest fans in college basketball. Cindy, to your family, Paul, to your children, on behalf of our players and our staff, thank you for making this day possible. We are so proud and humbled to be able to share this iconic building with the passionate fans of Indiana, and for those other opponents that have to come in here and dread playing us. I cannot begin to explain what a thrill it is for my staff and I to walk down that candy stripe hallway and into Assembly Hall. The faces, the looks on those prospects, the faces on those parents are priceless, particularly to those fathers that have watched so many games on television. To watch them in all of this place, just to be on the floor of Assembly Hall is something that is truly an experience for me. It's also an experience, a special moment that I look forward to in the future in hopes that those prospects that we are sharing this building with will eventually become Hoosiers. I would like to take this opportunity to also thank the major donors, the Board of Trustees, President McRobbie, Fred Glass, and his staff for the commitment to this project. To all those who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, thank you for your attention to detail and for completing this renovation in time for us to have a sensational season. There were a lot of early mornings, there were a lot of late nights, and we lived those moments with all of those workers, and we're so very pleased with this finished product. With the combination of Cook Hall and now Assembly Hall, we have one of the very, very best facilities in the country. So once again, it is a true honor to be here. We are so grateful for Cindy and your family, and for now this opportunity and play in one of the most famous arenas in the United States. Thank you, and go IU.
First and foremost, if you really look at the people that have helped build this, when you look at Paul and Cindy and their background, and Mel Simon's background, the entire Simon family, everybody else, the Mankeys, the Nuns, the Hankies, the list goes on and on. What you find, the common thread is not only hard work, but tenacity. And not only success, all right, in the sense of what they've done, that that is exactly what it's been in getting this building together, because I don't think there's any question that that's how the people made their way to be able to give gifts like this here. When we got here in 2008, briefly, inside of 3 months, we learned quickly that it was going to take quite a bit to return this to where it rightly belonged, and the national distinction that this program belonged in. And there were a couple of things that we could hold our hat on, former players that we would meet, the beautiful campus, and as you would study and get to know what the educational value of this school was all about as an outsider coming into it. The Hoosier Nation fans, all right, incredible. The alums that you would meet. But every day we got to walk into this building, every day. And right upstairs, we would walk in. And as we would go through those hard days, and as we would start to really try to figure out what it was going to take for us to get this back where it has to be, I always say, pressure is not anything we deal with now. Pressure is walking into Illinois or Purdue the first year with 8 walkouts. That's pressure. Okay? The rest of it we'll deal with. But as Cook Hall started to be built and they broke the ground for it, we recruited to 2 places. All right? We recruited out there walking around with the phone where people could hear the trucks and the jackhammers and everything being built, because that was progress. And I would walk around this building, as crazy as it would sound, walk down there on that court. Okay? And it would inspire me. There were no sounds because most of the times it was empty during that time of year. But that would inspire me on the tradition. That would inspire me and our coaching staff on what it meant to be here. Because there were many things along the way in these going on 9 years that it's taken to get this program back where it belongs on both sides. And we're working tirelessly. And we're working in a way because we're trying to do it the right way. We work constantly at doing it the right way, just like everybody else does in Indiana. Every day. In this college basketball world, in this college sports world, a lot of times that's not easy. But you've got to have things that drive you, that motivate you, that inspire you. And sometimes it can be a building. And that is exactly what Assembly Hall has been as we've continued to recruit, as we've continued to watch these players grow, as we've continued to walk into this building on game night or an afternoon to practice or an early morning for a workout, inspiring, because there's no building like it. And now we have this gift. And now we have this 18 months that's been put into this building. Now we have the dream that so many people have had to take it up to another level. And now it isn't even, we can't even fathom what it was like before compared to what it's going to be like moving forward. And we're all the beneficiaries of it on this day. We're all the beneficiaries of it. The players, the coaches, the staff, fans, the Hoosier Nation. But there are so many more people that are going to walk through these doors. So many more people that are going to come out of this campus. Soon it'll be thousands. Then it'll be tens of thousands. Then it'll be hundreds of thousands. Then it's going to get into the millions. And they're all going to see, all right, they're all going to see the finished product of what dreams, of what passion, of what tenacity, of what giving back turned over to people that were absolutely in the labor of love to make this the most iconic, the most standardized, but the most tradition-filled building in all of college sports. And that is exactly where you're sitting or standing today. That is exactly where we get to play our games, all right, to live our life moving forward. And that is exactly what so many recruits and people along the way get to be a part of. Is this building will take a backseat to nobody's building, not only in this country, but in this world in college sports. Thank you very much.
Well, if that doesn't fire you up, nothing. Well, now I'd like to introduce 2 of the student athletes that our coaches have been responsible for coaching. With us today are Tyra Buss and Robert Johnson on the stage. And Miss Buss is a junior point guard and is from Mount Carmel, Illinois. And during her very storied high school career, she was 2-time Miss Basketball honoree and excelled in tennis, track, and cross country, as well as at the same time graduated first in her high school class. Last season, she averaged roughly 19 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Mr. Johnson is a junior shooting guard. He's from Richmond, Virginia, where he was named the All-Metro Player of the Year by the Richmond Times-Dispatch newspaper. In 2015-16, he played in 30 games, made 22 starts, averaging 8.1 points and 3.3 rebounds. Ms. Buss will speak first, and then Mr. Johnson, and they will both speak without further introduction. Please welcome Ms. Buss.
I'm truly honored to be here today to speak with you on behalf of the Indiana University Women's Basketball Program. It seems like just yesterday I was standing in Cook Hall at the groundbreaking ceremony, and now here we are. And as I look around, I just can't seem to find the words that can adequately express how amazing this place is. Indiana University has always been known as the best venue in college basketball, and thanks to the generosity of so many, that experience will be preserved and even better than it has been. The experience of watching and playing a game here will be unlike anything else. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the extraordinary gifts of Cindy Simon-Skjodt, which in turn inspired others to follow her lead. Her generosity has been an inspiration to me and the women's basketball program. It has not only inspired us to be better basketball players, but better people as well. It has taught us the importance of philanthropic work and has shown us that people believe in what we do and believe in this university. It has helped us to continue to strive towards excellence, to set our sights high, and it would be an honor if we would be so fortunate enough to be the first group to hang a banner in the newly renovated Simon-Skjodt Assembly Hall. At this time, I would like to express a heartfelt thank you to Cindy Simon-Skjodt and her family for their generous contribution towards making this a dream venue to watch and play basketball. I would also like to give a special thanks to all of the other donors who have so generously contributed. I'd like to give a shout out to all the individuals who had a vision and created the designs for this beautiful renovation, and the hardworking men and women who used their hands to bring that vision to life. And finally, I would like to thank President McRobbie, Athletic Director Fred Glass, and the trustees for overseeing this project. The generosity and hard work of these wonderful individuals will be felt and appreciated by student athletes and fans for generations to come. On behalf of the women's basketball program, we are deeply grateful, and we cannot wait to get on the hardwood and make a difference in Simon-Skjodt Assembly Hall. Thank you.
On behalf of my teammates, I would like to say thank you to each of the generous donors who made this day possible. Thank you to Cindy Simon-Skjodt and her entire family for the extremely generous donation to renovate the arena and preserve the best home court advantage in college basketball. Cindy, whether we see you courtside, right behind the bench, or see you on the new Jumbotron, we know your gift was made out of love for the two Indiana basketball programs. I still remember you telling the story about how Indiana basketball meant a lot to you while you were growing up because you would come to the games with your dad. Stories like that make our game days even more special when you think about how many memories are being made, one fan at a time. Thank you for being that reminder to us. I'd like to thank President McRobbie, members of the Board of Trustees, and Athletic Director Fred Glass for making this a reality. I would like to thank Coach Green for giving me the opportunity to be a Hoosier. My teammates and I are honored to be a part of the Indiana basketball history. The home court advantage will be even better now because everyone will want to come in and see the newly renovated Simon-Skjodt Assembly Hall. The new entryway is nicer than I would have ever imagined. Walking up to the building, I feel as if I'm going to an NBA arena. Hearing about the new cameras and all the additional technology that will set us apart makes it even better. I know that these additions will make recruits even more excited to become a Hoosier. To all the people who made this renovation possible and all who are here to celebrate, I thank you very much. It is going to be a great season, and we know we are very fortunate to play for a great school. Thank you.
us and Mr. Johnson. I think both of you clearly are inspirations to your fellow student athletes and your fans and other students on the campus as well. We now come to the central moment of the ceremony, the dedication of the renovated Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. I ask Trustee Jim Morris to join me at the podium, and will Mr. Jeffers and Vice President Morrison please join us as well.
First, let me say to Robert and Tyra, I'm prepared to welcome you to an NBA arena. WNBA arena as well, just up the street. If the NBA still had territorial geographical rights where you had a preference to student athletes come play for you in the pros, if we had first call on all the IU athletes, we'd be one hell of an NBA basketball team. If I could, I know the Simon family well for a long, long time. Their generosity and genuine, extraordinary. The family also once made a $40 million gift to Riley Children's Hospital for the Simon Family Tower. Cindy is also chairman of the Indianapolis Foundation, which this year is celebrating their 100th anniversary. It's an extraordinary legacy. Families like the Simons and the Lillys and others clearly have made all the difference in the world in the quality of life in our city, in our university, in our state. So Cindy and Paul and Sherry and Debbie and David and Herb and the whole group, there's just no way to adequately say thank you, but we're profoundly grateful. You know how important this is because all 9 trustees are here. So if there are any lawyers present, please protect us from having a quorum. If I may, I would like to invite, we have 2 wonderful new trustees this year, including Quinn Buckner. I'm going to ask Quinn to join me for this if I can. Michael went through his legacy of basketball, but he was also the first and now only Indiana Hoosier to be taken into the Men's College Basketball Hall of Fame this year. And with Melanie Walker, our new lady trustee from Bloomington, and Quinn, just extraordinary people, brilliant in their passion for the university. It would be inappropriate for me to do what I'm about to do without having Quinn standing by my side. So Quinn? Yeah. So, Mr. President, by the way, thank you for your extraordinary leadership. The university, which you all love and are a part of, is in such extraordinary condition. The leadership is brilliant, the quality of the program is extraordinary. We celebrate this building today, and in doing so, we acknowledge how important physical space is in bringing us together. But today, Indiana University would have $2 billion of construction going on all across the state of Indiana. And as we've built new buildings, we've had this extraordinary respect and commitment to renovating all of our older buildings. And not many places can say that they are doing that, doing it as well as we're doing it. And by the bicentennial, we will have completely taken care of and funded all of our deferred maintenance, which at one time was $1 billion. And in 2020, it great pride and feel deep gratitude, Cindy, to you and Paul, and to all of the donors, to the hundreds of thousands of donors we have that help us in more ways than you could ever imagine, day in, day out, and presenting to you this symbolic key to the renovated Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. May this beautifully revitalized building open up a world of possibilities for our student athletes, for everyone who's a part of the IU family and community, and for everyone who loves Hoosier basketball. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Trustee Morris. Now, will everybody please stand? Friends and colleagues, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Indiana University, it is truly a great honor to formally dedicate Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. I commend it as a place of monumental significance for everyone who is part of the Hoosier Nation. May all who come here to work, to play, to compete, and to learn, and to celebrate our legendary basketball traditions bring even greater contributions to our university, reflecting the ideals of its pioneer founders. So please join me in celebrating the dedication of Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall with a round of applause. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Well, we now come to the end of this truly memorable and unforgettable occasion. And I'd like to thank everybody who's joined us for this joyous occasion. And I would especially like to thank the members of the dedication committee who worked so hard behind the scenes for today's event. In addition, I'd like to thank the members of the Jacob School Music Jazz Ensemble. Please join me in thanking our musicians. And now the crab band at the back will accompany us as we sing the alma mater, Hail to Ida, Old IU, and the IU fight song, Indiana, Our Indiana. The words, for the very small number, probably no one here who doesn't know them, are in your programs here as well, and our two student athletes will lead us in song.